explain how to do a cord cutting. Everybody does them differently, and I've done them quite a few different ways, and this way is one of my favorites. I'm not gonna do the actual cord cutting because there's certain things that I have right now, / you never do it in front of other people. Rule number one is important to remember. So one of the first things that you want to do is cover your hair. Right now I have my bun out, but you would cover your entire head. Make sure you get the base of your skull, make sure you're fully covered. I tend to also not wear black when I am doing these rituals, because when you think about how energy works, black is very absorbent, which means it's going to absorb energy. And so I usually wear things that are important to me, or like I work with a lot of water, so I'm going to wear blue, or I wear white because it reflects, right? And even for your candles, I don't have a black and a white candle, but you can use a black and a white candle just so that you can have the person who you're cutting cords with, or the situation that you're cutting cords with, be in black and you be represented as a white candle, right? The energy can't get to you. And another thing that I like to do is, if you're not going to use people candles, which people candles are going to be your most important, especially when it comes to literal people, you always want to make sure that, side note, if you're using people candles, they never face each other ever, because then you're just inviting more energy in. And that's something that I was taught that was super helpful. Another thing that you can do is just ensure that you have string. Again, some people use black string. Red string is gonna be your strongest, but if you don't have it, it is what it is. You can still do the cord cutting. Red is amazing. Red is also very protective. You can also basically, let's rewind. So when you have your candles, you're going to carve into your candle and the other person's candle. You're going to put your first and last name, you're going to put your birthday, and you're going to do the same for the other person. And I actually put my nicknames on on here just to make sure it's all covered. And then you want to fix them to something. One of my amazing teachers who I love also had me, if you use people candles for the person you're removing energy from, you can actually burn the bottom of their candles and their feet to ensure that they can't go anywhere, and it starts at their feet and the energy just is returned, and you can really bring it home with other herbs. So that's a trick that you can do. But once you write the name and birthdays, you can put them onto some sort of surface. And if you only have one candle, that's totally fine too. I can do a different video with one candle. It works to me. 2 candles always work. People candles are the strongest. People candles and other stuff are the strongest. And so basically, you can choose to take your candles either before or afterwards, and you can fix them with whatever herbs that you want to use, depending on the cord cutting and depending on herbs that you work with are gonna decide on what you're gonna use. So for instance, in this specific cord cutting that I'm actually going to be doing afterwards, I'm using hot foot powder. So hot foot powder is used in hoodoo, and it basically deters the person and the energy away, keeps them away. A lot of people also sometimes put Hydron in it, and Hydron is just amazing. Hydron the Conqueror. You can also use domination oil and things like that, which make it even more strong. But just be prepared to understand that whenever you do cord cutting, the stronger you make it, the more challenging it can sometimes be to do the emotional work. So just prepare yourself emotionally and spiritually, because cord cutting is not an easy process. And if it's someone that you know, someone that you had a connection with before, it can hurt, right? Because the energy might come back, or it might pull up feelings in you, or if you're heavily connected to the spiritual realm, it can really bring bring a tower moment that you're not expecting. It'll always work out in the end. But it can be a process of also grieving. So a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, a lot of people say, just cut the cords and you'll be fine, just blah, blah, blah. Like, cut the cords, yes, but also prepare yourself mentally, physically, spiritually to be able to grieve. Grieving is really important in order to do the cord cutting, because if you do the cord cutting but you haven't addressed why you were attached to them in the first place, or things that happened between you and that you're ready to actually let everything go, like, the energy's only going to come back. And since we were in retrograde, I've been getting a lot of messages from people also about exes and things like that. And I was feeling energy from my ex, so I thought this was perfect timing before we step into September. And with it being almost the end of August, like, get it done before the end of August. But again, you can choose to dress your candles in whatever oils, whatever powders. Again, I'm using hot foot powder. I even like to use holy water. Holy water I use in a lot of my practices as like barriers and protections. And I also pray over my candle work and my string, and I pray at the end. And I usually use St. Michael's prayer, and I also have cord cutting spells that I have created for myself that work really well. And if you work with other deities, like I tend to work with Ganesha, Kali Ma, and Santa Muerte. So like, I, depending on the situation, ask for their help. And again, if you've worked with me before, if you watch any of my other videos, like, you never ask a deity or a god or goddess for help unless they've approached you first. So I only have these connections because they came to me first. And so I know that I am allowed to work with them. So make sure that you are also doing that. But to go back, you have your candles. You would then take your string, and if you have people candles, and let's say you feel like your attachment is in a certain area of your body or in your energy, you would actually take your string and wrap it around those areas of the body. So if you feel like I felt like I had an attachment to someone, it was very much so in my belly, and so I made sure I like wrapped the bellies really well so that when it burnt that connection. I also made sure that like I felt like they were holding me back, so then I would like wrap both of our feet, or sometimes just my feet, so that when it burned I was free, right? Like, I was like, there were no more blocks around my feet, things like that. Like, I didn't want them in my thoughts, so then I would wrap it around my head and like their heart or whatever it is, you know. So then you can kind of meditate and think about where the connection is. You can kind of mimic it on regular candles too, but basically you would wrap it around and then knot it. And you would also write a petition. So if you haven't written a petition before, I can make a different video on that, but write a petition. Make sure that you are adding in there, do harm to none, sending this person or this situation off on its way to be carried away, and call in whatever you're wanting to call in. And you can either burn that sheet, bury it if it's like sustainable paper, or do whatever you want to do with it. But just make sure you have your petition ready to go before you light your candles. And then lastly, once you have everything tied, candles are dressed, you're gonna light your candles and you're just gonna let them burn all the way down. Let the strings burn all the way down, but make sure that you are someplace safe, so you don't catch fire to anything. And if you are using extra powder, you know, you can put it around their candle, you can tap it on top, you can there's a candle trick for everything. If you want to cut cords and also get them to tell the truth, you can go back on my TikTok. I talk about when you put a dime on a candle for the other person and get them to tell the truth. That's something you can also do depending on the top of your candle. So this was just a little cord cutting video. I hope that you enjoy. Follow along on my page. Make sure you cut those ties, because there's a lot of blessings and abundance coming in. So get ready.